Hey drinking buddies, thanks for joining me again today. I'd like to offer you some chair yoga for strength and cardio. Whether you need chair yoga all the time or this is just a temporary condition while you are recovering from an injury or an ailment, chair yoga is excellent because it can help you with balance and stability and your safety and regaining some strength and getting some cardio work that doesn't require any pressure on the joints. So I'm going to begin from a standing position, and if that's not for you, you can just skip to the seated portion, but if you are recovering from a lower body injury or you just need the chair for added stability, this will probably be beneficial to you. The first thing we'll do is come onto the balls of the feet and down. It's important that you don't rock back onto your heels. You want to keep the ball of your foot on the floor, just lift the heel, then set it back down. If you rock back onto the heels, you start to lose your balance and get momentum going. So you'll also notice I'm pretty close to a wall behind me, so that if I need to, I can just lean back into it. The folding chair is a little short for me. I'm taller than average, so you might like to use something with a higher chair back, like a dining chair. If you're like me and you're over 5'9", you might find that that's more beneficial to you than a folding chair, or more accessible or safer. Now we're going to leave the heels on the floor and almost like a demi-plie, I'm going to bend my knees as much as I can without lifting my heels. So for some people, it might be better to take the feet wider. For one thing, you can go a little bit deeper, you have to work a little bit harder, but it also widens your base of gravity. There's more surface area to distribute your body weight. And if this is too much on the knee, by all means go back to a narrower stance. The knees can go out to the side or they can go forward as long as they're going in the same direction as your toes. So let your toes decide. If your toes are pointing forward, the knees are pointing forward. If the toes are pointing forward, the knees are going to the side, bad things can start to happen. And if you're already recovering from an injury, you can make it worse. So it's important that we keep the thighs and the buttocks nice and strong, because this is what gets you up off of the floor or out of a chair, out of the bed, off the toilet, up the stairs, out of the car. They're just hugely important for your mobility. So muscles can atrophy after a while, but you can also just lose muscle tone, not necessarily muscle mass, if you've been nursing an injury for the last few weeks. So this is a nice gentle way to build that muscle tone back up or get a little bit stronger. And you'll notice that we're not going into full squats. So we're not putting any impact on the knees. So if you're recovering from, say, a knee replacement, this might be okay for you, and it might not. So just sort of let your body decide what's true for you. We'll next address the abdominals. So specifically, we're working into the obliques, which talk to the spinal erector. So the front of your body is always in communication with the back part of your body. These muscles help to stabilize your torso so that you maintain good posture and balance. So you're just going to move your hips front to back like a washing machine agitator. We're not making circles or crazy eights. We're not doing anything like a hula hoop, just like a washing machine agitator. So you'll notice the hips, knees, and shoulders are all pointed forward. Again, I'm not able to reach the chair back efficiently, but if you need to, if you've got a higher chair back, you can do that. We want you to go at your own pace, so especially if you have some balance issues, we might not want to go as quickly as I'm going, and definitely want to hang on to your chair back or make sure you've got a wall nearby that you can grab onto. We'll next build back up some ankle strength. So especially if you're dealing with a foot injury, the ankles get very lazy very quickly. So a way to build your balance back up and your ankle strength back up is just to put your right foot onto the seat of the chair. And you'll notice on your left side, your supporting side, little tiny movements in your ankle that are designed to equally distribute body weight over an uneven surface. Now, if the sole of the foot is a bigger range of motion than your hip has available to you, you can always just put the knee on the back of the chair. So you don't have to go any further than what feels good or what feels safe or what feels comfortable. And again, if this isn't for you, we can just skip to the seated portion. But for some of us, this is fairly accessible. Good. And we'll release. I'm going to go to the opposite side so that you can see what I'm doing, but of course, if you're at home, you can just change sides. So again, you've got the option to put the sole of your foot. You've also got the option to put the knee. And again, you'll just notice that there's little tiny movements. Your ankle is slightly shifting. And we want that. We want your ankles and lower limb muscles to be as engaged as possible. Gently release. So we're coming to seated to do some arm strength or upper body strength. And we're just going to take index and middle fingers together, point them at one another, the palms face the floor, the elbows are out to the sides. We'll inhale, extend your arms, and bring them back in. So for some people, this might not feel good on the shoulders, the elbows. If you only have one arm, you can do this just one-sided. But the thing to remember is we don't want your elbows to go way up behind you because that will get you some visits from the tendinitis fairy, and she'll bring you tennis elbow instead of money. So we don't want that. We want you to make sure that you can see your fingertips in your peripheral vision. And you can go as fast or as not fast as you like. So if you're wanting to get your heart rate up, you can go as quickly as you can. But our main concern right now is the strength. So what you'll be feeling working are these deltoid muscles, the insides of your arms, your biceps, and the chest muscles, your pecs. And these are muscles that will be beneficial to you to get up off the floor. So if you take a yoga class or you end up on the floor and you hadn't intended to, you really want nice, strong chest muscles to help get you up where you need to go, or at least where you can call someone to help. The next thing we'll take is an isometric hold, and we're just going to pit one set of muscles against the other. And it's a little bit like lifting weights because you're pushing and pulling, but it's not quite the same. So you're going to take one set of fingertips pointing straight at the ceiling, one set of fingertips pointing right directly out in front of you. Push the palms together, the elbows are out to the sides, and so you're pushing one palm against the other. So you start to feel your biceps and your pecs, your inner arms, upper arms, and your chest working. You might get a little shaking. And I have my hands out in front of me slightly and my chin parallel to the floor. And the reason for that is this: if you have your hands too close, or if you're looking down at your hands and you get tired and your hands fly up, you could scratch a cornea or just hurt yourself. So we don't want that. Keep your chin parallel to the floor. Just push, push, push as hard as you can. Let the shakes happen unless it's really bothering you. And we'll gently release. Now let's take some lower body strength. So I'm going to scooch up on the seat a little bit, and to be clear, I'm not definitely on the edge of my seat. I can still lean back. I've still got lots of seat underneath me because we don't want to lose your balance. We don't want your sitting bones right on the edge. So I'm just going to extend my knees, and you'll notice that the back of my thigh is coming up off of the chair. So when I am fully extended, my knees are being, my thighs are extensions don't feel good to you, or if this is an area that was part of the injury, you might like to keep your knees bent, but just pull your knees into your chest as high as you can. Or you can do it this way. Your legs on average are about 35 pounds, and in a few moments that fact will be quite clear to you. Your legs are actually pretty heavy, and you're using this upper part of your thigh, the top part of your thigh, to hold that weight. So again, we want those nice strong thighs to help take pressure out of your knees, to help get you up off the floor. So we talked a moment ago about ankle strength, and you know, if standing on the ankles isn't available to you for some reason, you can still get the benefit of these strong ankles by just crossing ankle over the knee, or if the knee is too high or outside of your range of motion, you can cross ankle over ankle, or you can just do it with your feet outstretched in front of you in bed and circle the ankles, that's fine too. You can go in both directions. I have a tight tendon that's rolling over a bone, so that's what makes that little snapping sound. And for me, it doesn't hurt, so I'll just keep going. But if that is something that is happening for you, it doesn't feel good, don't keep going. Again, we want your tendons and ligaments to be happy. You can't overdo ankle circles. And I learned that back when I was just a tiny little yoga teacher in ballet classes. We were working for points, so just make this a habit. We're gonna change sides. I always tell my students in class that you don't have to get dressed and go to the gym for yoga, and you definitely don't need to set aside a whole hour of your day. We take yoga where and when we can get it. You just want to be doing something sometime. Anything more than 0 is good. So I always suggest that even if it's gotten to the end of the day and you're already in bed, and let's say you're watching the news, just do ankle circles during the commercials. And then when you're watching your program, you can just focus on that. You don't have to do anything, but then do your ankle circles again on the next commercial break. So you'll get about 2 to 3 minutes each commercial break of ankle circles. And if you're in bed, you can do both at the same time. And what I understand from my students who have pets is when you do the ankle circles and your feet are under the sheets, cats really think that's a fun game. Please send video. Okay, so we'll get more into the cardio portion. Now we're going to be taking seated jumping jacks, and if the lower body is compromised in some way, you can just do the upper body, or you can just do the lower body, or you can go with me and do both at the same time. But again, we want to make sure you're nice and stable on the seat. You're not right up at the edge, but you're not right backed up against it. You're going to start here and go here. Just go as fast or as not fast as you like. And again, you can just do the arms or just do the legs. We're getting your heart rate up higher than resting. But you know, if you're one of those people who is recovering from an injury, you know, we're probably not going to get your heart rate up to where it was when you were taking your spin classes, for example, but we are going to be getting your heart rate up higher than resting, and you will be in that calorie and fat burning mode, which is where we want you. And you know, you need to sort of ease yourself back into your cardio. It's always really tempting for active people who have been injured to just jump right back where they started, but give your body some grace and the permission to just ease back into it. next thing we'll take is a 4-corner punch, which is exactly what it sounds like. We're gonna punch this corner, then this corner, the lower corner, and the lower corner. So you're gonna cross your arm over your body to your pace. So you don't want to go as fast, that's okay. We really want to be sure that you're not popping your elbow out. You're extending it. Your arm can be straight, but your arm can't be hyperextended. That's not going to work. Some people like to do more like a speed bag thing. Have at it if that's what you like. I don't like to do the speed bag thing. I feel like it makes me look like a cat playing with a piece of yarn or something, and I worry that people can see in my windows. I don't know what they would think if they saw me doing this, so I just try to keep it as tame as possible. We're next going to take some oblique work, and we're going to go a little bit faster. If you need to, you can just take this variation if your lower back is a problem for you, but otherwise, we're going to dip from one side to the other. Really pull your belly button in towards your backbone. You're moving pretty quickly, so again, your heart rate is up a little bit higher than it is when you're in your resting mode, but again, you're probably not in a sweat, and that's fine. And here again, getting your heart rate up is cardio, it's aerobic. And anything that gets your heart rate up and makes you breathe a little bit more heavier than you do normally is inherently aerobic. So we're just gonna take like a panting dog breath. Although it's important that if you are getting warm, or if you're feeling lightheaded, or like you're very hungry or thirsty all of a sudden, stop, take some deeper breaths, rest, have some water. So you lose a lot of breath vapor when you're doing this kind of breathing. We don't want you to get dehydrated, and we definitely don't want you to get lightheaded or hyperventilate. So just take care of yourself, and I recommend keeping your eyes open for this, because that will be one of your cues if you're starting to get that tunnel vision or little red spots if you're going too fast, too hard. So you're just gonna keep your mouth open. If you want, stick your tongue out slightly, and we're going to just pant like a puppy dog. Release. Let's interlace the fingers across the back of the head. Your elbows are out to the side, and you're just going to sort of pull one elbow toward the opposite knee, pull the knee up. And I'm very flexible, and I don't have any injuries or ailments that I'm dealing with, so I'm able to touch my elbow to my knee you don't have to touch your elbow to your knee. That's just the direction they're going. So for you, it might look a little something like this. That's fine. Remember, we're very much more interested in your safety and your comfort than in your ability. And it's fine to, again, if you are recovering from an accident or injury, to give yourself the grace to ease back into where you were. So even if you could do this before and you're not able to do it today, it doesn't mean you won't be able to do it again someday. And it needs to be okay if this is as far as it ever gets for you. So we just need to sort of adjust our mental ambitions with our physical conditions. Look we go. I'm rhyming. Gonna put that on a bumper sticker. And again, you can go faster, especially since we're in the cardio portion, but for me, just lifting the weight of my legs and twisting my torso, there's a lot of me to move around, so my heart rate is up pretty good. Yours might not be, you might need to go faster. And now we're going to take your feet out a little bit wider. So it's not the most ladylike thing, so don't be doing this wearing a skirt. And again, this is up to you. If you have any kind of vestibular problem like vertigo, Meniere's, any kind of strong vagal response, you might not want to go very low for this. You're going to start with your fingertips to your shoulders. We're going to tap your toe or your knee and bring it up to center. Tap to center, tap to center, tap to center. So again, you can be right here or somewhere in between. You don't have to touch the ground, you don't have to touch the toes. You just go where it feels good for you to go. And again, this is the cardio portion, so you might not want to go down all the way so that you can maintain speed and keep your heart rate up, and that's fine. But again, we always want to use your belly button to pull you back to center. So your belly's kind of relaxed when you're here, your belly's slurped in when you're here. It's your belly button that brings you back to center, your core that brings you back to center. And we'll bring this to center. And something else that can make you feel kind of foolish sometimes if you're where someone can see you, it's just to clap your hands rapidly, like you just saw the greatest Broadway show ever and you're just clapping away. And so I'll try to be as quiet as I can. I'm kind of in an echoey room and the mic is right directed at me. So this is a volume warning. Turn down your volume if you need to. Yourself a hand for doing some strength and cardio work from the seated position. So whether chair yoga is something that you need all the time or it's something that you're using temporarily to get you to the next step, I hope this has served you in some way. Rock out with your workout.